Sign up to the SBR Network and use your free daily bet points to earn real-world prizes. Click on the page and start winning now.
What's happening? Welcome to SBRforum.com. In this video, we're taking a look at the series between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Los Angeles Kings. Now, this Western Conference Final is not only a rematch from last year's Western Conference Final, it's also a matchup of the last two Stanley Cup champions. Obviously, the Kings winning a couple of years ago and the Chicago Blackhawks winning last year and standing as the reigning and defending Stanley Cup champs. Now, I like the Blackhawks in this series for a few reasons. For starters, they dominate their matchups with the Los Angeles Kings. They've now won, they won the Western Conference Final last year 4-1 and then won all three matchups this year. They've now won 7 of the last 8 meetings between the teams. And to me, the math is quite simple. The Kings, we know that they're a bit offensively challenged, but what they're built around is great goaltending. They led the NHL this year in goals allowed with 2.05 goals per game. However, that doesn't seem to slow the Chicago Blackhawks down too much, as in the last 8 meetings between these two teams, they've averaged 2.9 goals per game. So Chicago obviously finds a way to score against Los Angeles. The issue is that the Kings can't really find enough offense to keep up with the Blackhawks. So I think the Blackhawks obviously can trump the Kings ace card, and I think Los Angeles is going to have to find a way to either slow the Blackhawks down different than what they've done in those last 8 meetings, or find a way to generate more offense. Now, the second issue and the second strike that I have against the Kings is that they've played 2 consecutive 7-game series, and I think that's really going to wear on them at the very least early on in this series. We'll see how it goes in the latter stages, maybe when they get their feet back a little bit or when they have a little bit of rest. But in the early stages, I think it's going to favor the Blackhawks quite a bit. The Blackhawks played their last game on Tuesday, and for a team that went to the Stanley Cup and won it last year, a week off or nearly a week off in the playoffs is a breath of fresh air. Now, don't forget that the Blackhawks also had a sizable rest in between rounds 1 and 2 as they disposed of the St. Louis Blues in 6 games. And of course, they had to wait for the Minnesota Wild to go 7 games and decide a winner with the Colorado Avalanche. So the Blackhawks had rest in round 1, rest in round 2. The Kings, on the flip side, went 7 games with the Sharks in round 1, then went 7 games with the Ducks in round 2, and they are definitely not going to have as much pep in their step, at the very least, early on in their series. Now, the last point that I have against the Kings is that they played 2 teams in the first couple of rounds that had good offenses like Chicago, but don't have the defense and goaltending that the Blackhawks have. Now, take a look at the Kings. Take a look at the Kings and who they played. San Jose had issues in net. Was it Antiniemi starting? Was it Stalock? Either way, both goaltenders were horrible by the end of that series. In round number 2, Frederik Andersen got benched to start. They started with Jonas Hiller. He crapped the bed. Then they went to Andersen. He played well, but then he got hurt. Then they went to Gibson, and he shut out the Kings in the first game, then proved to be pretty frail down the stretch of that series. So, the Kings really didn't face a team like the Blackhawks, who have a true number 1 goaltender, an excellent blue line, and the Blackhawks are not going to be, pulling Crawford no matter what. If he has a bad game, he's going to be back in there. But regardless, he's not Niemi, he's not Stalock, he's not Hiller, he's not Andersen, he's not Gibson. He's a Stanley Cup winning goaltender, and he's quite frankly been one of the best goaltenders in the NHL this year. A little bit underrated, though, I would say, when you consider, look at the team, look at the goaltenders that Canada took to the Winter Olympics. Corey Crawford could have easily been one of them. So in any shape, the Kings have not faced a blue line and a goaltender like this in the playoffs, and I think that's going to be the difference, along with the lack of rest for the Kings and the fact that the Blackhawks have the Kings number. I expect the series to go 6 games, and I'm expecting Chicago to win the series as well and return to the Stanley Cup Finals. Thanks for watching this video right here on SBRforum.com. We'll catch up with you again soon.